How's it going, YouTube? I hope wherever you're at and whenever you are warm and comfortable, because looking at my truck's dash indicator right now for the outside temperature, it says 19 degrees, but I do believe it is being bamboozled a little bit by the ambient temperature of the running engine. I'm going to guess it's probably down closer to 11, 10, maybe 9 degrees. Here in southern Wisconsin, where I am staging for a 3 a.m. delivery, which I am not at all looking forward to. But unfortunately, the money for this run was far and away too good to pass up. It was a short run, about not even 300 miles, well, a little over, even including the deadhead, it was just a shade over 300 miles. And it paid for that short run. It paid very nicely. It paid, including deadhead, just under $6 a mile. So yeah, $1,800 for this run to the truck. I will not see all of that because of brokerage costs and what the company I'm leased on with keeps for themselves, and also fuel and insurance, maintenance, and all of that. But anyway, a very valuable run for the mileage, and I'm not at all complaining because it's going to set me up for a fairly easy weekend as I transition from one pay period to the next, because the pay schedule for this week's settlement will close tomorrow, I believe, and so tomorrow morning's delivery will be on that one, which will be nice. Anyway, wanted to take a moment, and not a moment, more like a few minutes or so, because I have a tendency to ramble and talk about tires, specifically Drive tires for semi-trucks. Mine are shot, and decided it's time to replace them. So I'm here at a Love's truck stop in southern Wisconsin, taking advantage of the opportunity I had staging for this delivery to go ahead and get those sorted out, because I was looking at some of the tires and there's some uneven wear on them. Some parts of the tires are at the safety markers, others are starting to wear into the safety markers. And I'm not at all thrilled with that. Now, this truck that I bought, this T680, I got it last year, December 2020, essentially, middle of December 2020, not 2021, 2020. And it came with more or less brand new Cylon Drive tires on it. I think they're the S765s or whatever. Now, they're made in China, so they are a cheaper tire, because they are not an American brand or a North American brand or even made in North America in any capacity, so there's going to be a reduced cost factor to them. But I will say this about these tires, I got 130,000 miles out of them, which, in all honesty, given what I know about truck tires, which is less than that, I'm going to call that good, and I'll say that that's good enough for cheap made in China tires. Now, if I had been a bit more attentive to tire pressures, maybe load distribution, speed on the interstate, things of that nature, I might have been able to push all 8 of the tires to maybe 150, maybe 175, and not be sitting here waiting my turn at the truck stop for 8 brand new spunky dunkers. But it is what it is. It's lessons learned the hard way in some cases, and now that I'm sitting here getting ready to spend over $5,000 on 8 brand new Yokohama 22.5-inch Drive tires, I will definitely be paying much closer attention to their pressures, as well as the recommended operating conditions. But I'm excited about these tires, honestly. I mean, I don't think I've run Yokohama tires before at all, ever. When I was company for Werner, I had 2 trucks with them. I had a T680 from 2016 that I had for about a little over 2 months back in the end of the fall of 2019. And that truck, I think, had a combination of Continental and Goodyear drive tires, if I remember correctly. And then I had a Freightliner Cascadia, a 2019 Freightliner Cascadia, with Werner for about a year and 2 months, actually, before I bought this truck. And that truck had a combination, I think Continental, might even have had Yokohama. I forget what all tires. I know I ran some Continental, I know I ran some Goodyear, and those tires did okay. But Werner, being a mega carrier, they whenever they would, they required every truck to come in periodically for a mid-trip inspection, just to see what's going on, make sure that we're actually doing right by the trucks, taking care of them, reporting issues, finding issues and getting them fixed. And then occasionally when I check my truck into the shop, because I based out of Joliet, Illinois, at Werner's terminal down there. What I would do, I would check it in for the service for, odds and ends things. What Werner would do, what the techs would do, is they would check the tires and other things. And every now and again, when I'd get the truck back, I would notice that suddenly I'd had different tires on. And I can only assume that they were proactively swapping out tires because of uneven wear, or, they saw damage that needed to be addressed. I don't know. All I know is that I would periodically get the truck back, and it would have different tires on it. Sometimes different rims too, which was not always fun because some of the rims I got were pretty disgusting. But that's a different time entirely. Anyway, so I'm here at Love's, about to do 8 Yokohama drive tires. This is my first drive tire purchase ever, and I was really hoping it would not be over $4,000, but then, I am paying for more of a premium brand of drive tire, and I'm getting 8 of them at the same time. So factor it all together, the tires are $540 a piece, and then you got to deal with labor and whatever parts, like valve stems and so forth, and it added up to about $5,200 was the estimate that I got. I'm hoping it stays at $5,200 for the tire service, but I've been planning this service for a while, this maintenance job for a while, so the cost, while hideous, not entirely unexpected. So it's just the cost of doing business, and I like to run quality rubber. I don't like to run recaps. I don't trust them on drive tires. I do trust recap tires on trailer tires all day, because when I drive it for Werner, and even with the company I'm currently with, pulled a lot of trailers that had a mix of virgin and recap tires, and honestly, as long as I took care of the trailer, I didn't have any issues with the tires. And I had to have a lot of tires replaced, driving company, just because Werner has such a massive trailer pool, and obviously that incurs massive maintenance costs as a result of having literally tens of thousands of trailers that for themselves, and also for some of their customers like 3M and Dollar General and whoever else. Werner would be a conduit through which some of these trailers got service, and then they would, in the back end, take care of the billing with the appropriate customer, or it was just part of the contract for their services. I have no idea, but the majority of the time, whenever I brought a trailer into a truck stop for a tire service or a tire replacement, or had to call in a road call for over the road or on road, or at a delivery or pickup point service, because the tire wasn't up to snuff, or it was off the rim, or it was leaking, or whatever, the majority of the time the technicians at a truck stop or on the road were bringing recap tires. So the recaps on trailers, I'd buy those. If I had my own trailer right now, I'd probably would buy recaps for that, just because lower cost. But for drive tires, maybe one day I'll consider getting recap drives, but for the time being, I'm going to stick with virgin rubber, because I like the idea of that tire being solid all the way through. And I'm really also hoping that my steer tire situation does not reappear, because I had my steer axle tires replaced end of August, was it? Early September? Sometime in the late summer. August or September, I believe it was. No, it was early August I had them replaced. And then I had those tires not even a month, and I picked up the shank of a screw running from Memphis to Chicago area. And because I picked up my load and I'm headed north, and I stopped at a truck stop, my overnight, and the next morning do my pre-trip, and I noticed, why is my brand new steer tire looking flat? So I'm like, that's not quite right. So, went over to the shop on site. It was a Love's, and I said, hey, I need some air in this tire. I think I might have, I must have hit a bump something, and maybe the bead broke a little bit and it just lost some air, but whatever. I didn't know what was going on. So he said, yeah, you're down, you only have about 20 pounds of air in there. And I'm like, that's not good. He's like, yeah, no, you got a leak in this tire somewhere. And I'm like, well, that's delightful. So I nursed it up to another stop because that shop was just backed up beyond belief. And when I got it to my home area, brought it into the shop to get the tire situation sorted out, and I was like, I'm hoping it's just a valve stem. And these guys like, yeah, we'll pull it off, take a look at it, but it's just a valve stem, we'll replace it, it'll be fine. But he also was straight up with me. He said, yeah, if there is any kind of damage to the tire or there's a puncture, we have to replace it, because per DOT or FMCSA regulations, if the integrity of a steer tire is compromised in any capacity, whether it's the sidewall, the tread, or in the tread on top of it, or in the tread between, on the portion that actually is in contact with the road, the tire cannot be patched, it must be replaced. That is regulation. I didn't know that, so I found out the hard way. So I had to pay another, $600 for a new tire, essentially, and then the service to get it put on, and that was really fun. And I'm hoping that situation does not manifest, because I know the regulations for drive tires are a little bit different. And if I remember correctly, now I'm not going to say I am correct, because I'm trying to remember from the time I had my Werner truck tires serviced, and this came up. They told me, yeah, if there is damage or a puncture or whatever in a certain area of the tire, we are allowed to patch it, and you can still roll with this tire. However, if the damage is in this part of the tire, or it is this, intensity or quality of damage or whatever, we have to replace it, because this is a drive tire. It's a major weight-bearing tire. There's more stress on it than just, carrying the load of a trailer. So there's a different set of rules regarding these tires. I'm like, well, okay, not my truck, but now it is my truck. And the Silent tires are about shot. But anyway, to kind of wrap this up, I don't know much about Yokohama tires. I know they're a famous racing tire brand, but as far as their on-highway or road tires, I have little experience with them, so I'm kind of excited to see how well they perform. I'm very curious to see how well they will wear, and if by this time next year, they'll be performing well, and I can give kind of a bit of a more feedback on them or not. We'll see what happens. Or if they end up wearing terribly and I'm spending another $5,000 on new tires before Christmas. But we'll see what happens. So, but the Silent tires, yeah, there's a lot to be said for buying cheap tires, because there is a value to them if you are a truck driver or an owner-operator or a small company or small fleet that is needing to operate on a budget, and you need to find ways to both operate safely while also operating within your budgetary constraints. The cheaper tires, whether fortunately or unfortunately, are a good fallback. And Silent, much as I didn't like how they wore, for the most part, I did get good performance out of them. As long as I was taking care of the tires, not running too hard on, terrible surfaces, or you know, not just always being at maximum speed on the truck. You know, they did pretty good. And also keeping up with the pressures on them, part of the pre-trip, you know, that probably might have helped them stay, or might have helped them wear more evenly. But it's also entirely possible that the tires themselves were not properly balanced, or the wheels were not properly balanced, or there was manufacturing defect, or, you know, there are some undiagnosed issues with my truck that are only sort of now beginning to manifest through the tires. I don't know, because even though I've been an owner-operator for, you know, 13 months, almost 14 months, and I've been a trucker for getting close to 3 years, there is still a vast amount of stuff I have yet to learn. And in some cases, I'm learning things as I go. Other cases, it's, you know, people telling me, okay, if you have this issue, it's this, or if you have this, it's that, or if you have that, it's this, or if you have, you know, blah, 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 blah. You know, stuff is like that just kind of comes up. You just kind of absorb information as you go, because, you know, a lot of truckers I've talked to who have been willing to share information have been very happy to tell me, oh yeah, I've got this motor, this situation comes up, or these are my service intervals. This is what I check myself because I have the tools with me on the road. This is what I do with my shop. I got my guy in XYZ city. He does this for me. You know, all that kind of stuff. And speaking of maintenance, my truck is about to hit 500,000 miles. And when I get done with this next few days of running, my plan is to be home this coming Thursday. And the truck is going into the shop on Friday morning, as long as all goes to plan, because I'm going to have some 500,000 mile service done. I'm going to have a full oil change and lube service on the truck because, well, it's coming up due anyway, so why not? I'm also going to have the valve head removed so they can adjust the valves, and then they're going to replace the head gasket for me because, well, why not? And then I'm going to have a few other things checked out, serviced, and just make sure that, you know, things are where they're supposed to be, and they do an alignment, check on my steering. So it's probably going to be another hefty service bill. I'm hoping it won't be, but I'm planning for it to be multiple $1,000s in service, because it's a semi truck. It's got 10 wheels. It's designed to pull, or it's designed to move a gross weight of 80,000 pounds plus. So that means the service costs are always higher, and but that is the cost of doing business. That is the cost of owning and operating one of these trucks. It is the cost of being, you know, as close to a captain under God, so to speak, as I can be without actually having my own operating authority, owning my own trailer, owning my own fleet, or being truly my own standalone shipping entity, at least for the time being. In the future, that may happen. It's kind of an idea of mine to work towards, but at the same time, there is a lot to be said for operating under someone else's authority, so long as the terms are mutually beneficial, meaning you're not getting taken advantage of by a carrier, and you're getting what you feel is a fair percentage value for the work that you are doing and the service that they in turn are providing to you. It's very important that you find out those terms for yourself and talk to different companies, different carriers, different drivers, and get some feedback. There's a lot of guys who absolutely love the Landstar model, for example. Other guys won't touch it. Other guys prefer to have their own operating authority and just be entirely their own entity. Other guys prefer to be leased on with somebody else, so they allow legwork is done for them in terms of dispatch and finding loads and booking loads and whatever else, and trailer maintenance and all that good stuff. So there are pros and cons to every situation. It's just a matter of finding out what works best for you. And in the case of tonight, for me, the pros of spending $5,000 to replace all 8 of my drive tires at once vastly outweigh the cons, which is running on tires that are wearing unevenly, that in some cases are no longer, in certain areas, probably not any longer DOT compliant, meaning they are getting close to their below 32nd 7-inch tread depth. So yeah, it's just one of those things where better to spend the money now in a controllable situation than to spend the money later on a road call because DOT found me, caught me, And it's like, hey, look, you've got tires that aren't quite deep enough in the tread anymore. You get to sit here until we have someone come out and fix them for you. Yeah, that would be easily another $500 to $1,000 minimum just for that road call, plus the 8 tires or the 4 tires, whatever they told me I had to fix. It's like, when you can control when the maintenance happens in order to avoid issues later, it is to your advantage to execute the maintenance. If you can do it yourself, great. If you cannot, it is better to find professionals you believe you can trust. Some folks even have issue with Love's technicians. It's like, well, you do what you do. You talk to who you talk to. I like Love's a lot. I've used them for a lot of service over the last few years. I've been mostly well taken care of. A couple situations have not gone as well as they could have, but no situation is perfect. You just got to make the best of it and don't be a jerk in the process. So with that being said, my friends, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope if you're in the cold areas of the country that, again, you are warm, comfortable, and safe. And that you have a wonderful day, night, week, whatever, or weekend, as the case may be. See you down the road.